Hello, my name is Bill, and today it's all about an intimate Christmas dinner for the family. When I was a kid, we ate turkey twice a year. One at Thanksgiving and one at Christmas. Nowadays, it's so hard to find a turkey at Christmas time. So I stopped looking and I realized that this was a night to make a small dinner for the family. So I thought, what can I make? Well, the best thing to do, I think, is a beef tenderloin. So Christmas is all about the kids and the family in the morning, but then when it's time in the afternoon, everyone's left. Oh look, the first part's done. We open the presents in the afternoon with a bottle of champagne, then we start this magnificent meal. I have to make my mashed potatoes to serve with beef. I have about 3 pounds of peeled and cut Yukon Gold potatoes in some salted water. They've been simmering for 25 minutes. And so I know they're going to be done. You can test with a fork if you want, but if you cook them for 25 minutes, I cube about 1-inch cubes. So now I want to drain them, and we're going to place them back on low heat. So let me get the heat down to low, so it's all ready. Let me go drain these guys. I want to get it out as much water as I can out of here, but I don't want to waste all the time. I don't want to give the potatoes a chance to cool down. Okay, good. So back on the heat. Now I'm going to start mashing. These potatoes are perfect. So mashing releases the steam, which is what you want to do. Now I've got the heat on, so what I need to do, I got 4 ounces of cream cheese and a stick of butter. It's time to get this in here and let them get soft and melted. Again, it's still pretty hot. I think I'm going to use my glove. So just keep an eye on the consistency. And if it's still looking dry, you can always add a little half and half. Sometimes it's just really up to the potatoes. Like I said, this is just shy of 3 pounds of potatoes. And I use Yukon Gold because I think they have a better taste to them. They kind of hold up better. I know Yukon potatoes haven't been around forever because when I was a kid we used Idaho. And there's probably more starch content. So basically these are done. I do see that it's just a little thick. So I'm going to splash in. You can use up to half a cup. I probably only need about 1/4 cup of half and half. That's perfect. And I find that these plastic nylon mashers work a whole lot better than the old metal rug beaters, I used to call them. I have a link at the bottom if you want to get this one this is a Cathlon one from Amazon. Okay, these potatoes are absolutely perfect. My workout for the day. So what I want to do now is I'm going to put in, I have a little bit of fresh chive that I chopped up and some fresh ground pepper. Stir that in. Like I said, this is for beef, so I like doing like chive in it. So let's just clean this off. I don't want any to go to waste, let me tell you. Still toasting. So let me just get that stirred in. So if you do this up a little ahead of time, you can put it in a glass dish and then throw it back in a 350 oven for about 10 minutes to heat it through. But in this case, I'm just going to put the lid on it and set it aside. Everything's mixed up. It's perfect. You didn't think you could make mashed potatoes that fast, but it really is that easy. And these are really good. And they're going to have time for the chive to kind of mix in. Just tastes great. Take pan to the side. Okay. Now we're on to the main course. I got a pan with a little olive oil in it. Don't need a whole lot. And I have, this is 1.5 pounds of beef tenderloin. This is a perfect meal. Just making sure my pan gets a little hotter. With gas, once it gets hot, it usually stays pretty hot. And all I want to do is sear this. You just need a little olive oil because there's not a whole lot of fat on this cut. So the whole thing is that if you really want a good tenderloin, you're going to want to buy a prime cut like this. You know, choice is the next step down. There's no prime plus or prime extra or whatever they want to call it at the store. There's really no such thing. It's prime or not. Prime is always going to be more tender. Problem is because there is so little fat on this cut of meat, you really want to keep it more medium rare. Rare, you're looking at about 120 degrees internal temperature, and don't forget once you get it, you know, once it's done and it's resting, the temperature is going to come up a little bit, so that'll be fine. And you know, because this is big enough, you're going to find that the end cuts are going to be more done than the inside cuts. So you can certainly, the people that want a little more done, but just remember you're going to lose a lot of texture if you overcook it. So basically, I'm just going to get it seared. We're just trying to put a little color in it. I'm sorry it's going to get a little loud for a second while this is cooking. And because of the shape of it, it's round, you basically have 4 sides to cook. So I'm going to turn it 90 degrees each time. I'm waiting to get speckled on my glasses here. Or little burn marks on my arm. Keep moving around so it doesn't stick. Got just a little color to it on the first side. You have to have long arms. The really cool thing is about buying meat like this, you're not going to get it from a grocery store. You really need to go to a butcher shop, you know, someone that you know that is going to give you really better cuts. There's a butcher shop here in Melbourne, Florida that I go to. It's called Wassie's, and I've been going there for, gosh, 20 years, and they always have just excellent cuts of meat. I would buy anything there, even just their hamburgers much better. Everything's fresh and it's cut right there. There's no mystery to whatever it is, so you can certainly get. In fact, if you really want to splurge, they have Wagyu beef from Japan at a pretty hefty price. Alright, so we're ready. We're going to go one more step. So this is really kind of medium-high heat. Like I said, we're just really trying to sear it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roast it in a 325 degree oven. I've got a remote thermometer here. I'm going to stick in it. I'll show you how to do that once we get it ready. And throw it, like I said, 325 oven. You can certainly, I also tagged a thermometer. It doesn't have to be fancy. Yeah, mine is actually wireless. So costs a little more money, but you can just use the wired one in your oven. The only thing is, depending on how low your oven is, mine's pretty low because I have a double oven. Sometimes I have to put the receiver on the floor. Now we're starting to get some good color. Like I said, I've got a glass dish here. And pretty confident that we're going to roast it the rest of the way in the oven. If you live in a warmer climate, you can certainly take this outside and grill it. Like I said, once again, you just want to get some grill marks on it. You're not trying to cook it on the grill because you want to finish it off in a nice roasting oven. And here it goes. So I'm going to real quick go over the, I'm going to do this thermometer. Basically what you want to do is you want to get the probe in center, it's about right, center. So I went in the center and I'm about in the center for the probe. I can tell because my thermometer is already coming up. Alright, so I get this put in the oven. Okay, now here's the fun part. What I like to serve with this, especially because I've got those beautiful potatoes, is I'm going to make a great Marsala sauce for the beef. And I'm going to use the same skillet that I cooked the tenderloin in. What we're going to do is I've got some olive oil in here. I think it's probably enough because you really just need to coat the pan. And what I have is I have about a quarter cup of minced shallots. The pan's really hot, so it's not going to have to cool down. And I got 12 ounces of quartered mushrooms, just button mushrooms. And just watch it, because mushrooms absorb a lot. Heat up a little bit. Just want to get these mushrooms rolling. I don't normally use shallots. I don't have them on hand. I always have either red onion or garlic on hand, but they're kind of a cross between an onion and garlic. Very fragrant, but a little milder. They're not as pungent, so they're good to cook with. So basically, they're going to take all the juice from that tenderloin and absorb into the mushrooms for flavor. And this is a case where I don't use a stick-free pan. I'm using a nice stainless pan because we do want those little crusties from the beef, and we want the crusties that we're getting from the mushrooms. And then we're gonna deglaze it here in a minute. Make sure they get nice and coated. And this is Marsala is a really good sauce. You can use it for anything. In fact, I have a recipe where I put it on meatballs, and serve it on mashed potatoes. That's a great thing you can do. But for the most part, if you're not a big fan of rare meat or you don't want tenderloin, you could do that on, you know, sirloin. You could do that on any cut of meat that you're going to cook outside. You know, New York strips, ribeyes. You know, everyone gets the sirloin Marsala at Carrabba's. You know, that's exactly one of the options. I actually know how Carrabba's makes their Marsala sauce, and mine's like 10 times better. Alright, so got everything going pretty good here. So I have some Marsala, just some dry Marsala, and you're going to want about anywhere from a quarter to a half a cup. It's not really about the alcohol, but I'm going to put probably about half a cup in here. Need my glasses. This is going to deglaze the pan. It's going to get all those little crusties off there. This is the start of the gravy. Once again, the mushrooms are going to start absorbing that Marsala, so that's going to give them the flavor. And actually, depending on how long you saute the mushrooms in, is how much flavor they're going to absorb from the Marsala. So you can kind of control that. Once I get the pan deglazed, all the crusties are now incorporated in here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add about a cup of beef broth. And this pan's still really hot, so as soon as the broth gets back up to temperature here, basically I want to get it reduced about 2/3. So we know once we start seeing it start to boil, like I said, Marsala is a great thing to work with. It just goes with any kind of beef. You know, some people like to put a little sage in it. I think that I don't want to really mask the flavor of the beef too much. I think the shallots alone are just about as much flavor. Of course, you have to use Marsala and beef broth. And it's boiling now, so it should be pretty quick. It's lovely having gas. This is the first house I've lived in that has a gas range, and I instantly realized, you know, working in a restaurant where everything's gas, you just get so addicted to it, used to it. So we got some boiling going on here. Just gonna get this up temperature, check. He's coming along nice. So like I said, don't forget that once we get this beef out, once it hits temperature, it's actually going to cook a little more. If you're not ready to carve it, if you're waiting for something, you can always tin it with some tin foil and just set it aside. And even if you don't, it's going to still. And the reason you rest meat is because you want all the juice to reabsorb into the meat, so it's not dry. And it also it kind of helps get the temperature even throughout. You don't want, you really don't want to have it just seared on the outside. And I mean, I like my beef fairly rare, but I don't want it cold inside. So you want it warm throughout at least. And the better cut the meat, you know, the better it's going to be anyways, and the better it's going to cook actually. If I could figure out how to bring my grill in here, I could grill, but and filming outside is really a hassle. Alright, we're just about there. So the luxury is, no matter where I've lived, is I always have looked for a butcher shop, you know, someone that I've gotten to know. And you know, even if I don't go there all the time, but I want to go there, you know, a couple times a year. If you know, if it's my birthday and if I'm grilling steaks out, I want to know I'm going to get something. And you know, sometimes just the fact of calling the day before or a couple days in advance to order something. Of course, they do a lot of custom order stuff around the holidays, but if they know you're always going to get a better cut, you know, they're not going to give you the ends. All right, see all the little brown stuff here. It's looking pretty darn good. This is really cooking, you know. I think people are so used to everything happening in a flash. Well, if I were doing this on, if I had a TV show and I were doing this on TV, I'd have 3 pans lined up, one to show you what it looked like now, one to show you what it later, and one to finish. But I really have to cook this stuff on here, and I want it right. Probably most of my cooking techniques are a little slower, but sometimes that's good because you need time to get all the stages done. And as you can see, we're already finished. The mashed potatoes are done. I've got the beef in the oven. Temperature's coming up nicely. And I don't always use a temperature thermometer because I kind of just know from looking at it, but this is a good way as a reminder because things are going to beep at me when it's done. So, and you know, a lot of people ask me, how do you know when it's done? Well, you cook enough meat, you just get to know. And I will tell you that if you, a little secret I wouldn't let anyone else know, but if you don't have beef broth in the house, because I don't always have it, I actually had to go out and buy it for this, you can use chicken broth, and that's perfectly fine. It's really not going to, it's not really going to alter the flavor that much. Beef obviously is a little stronger, but this will be it. And you can also put this on chicken, don't forget. Chicken Marsala. Hey, everyone knows that as long before they know what beef Marsala was. Just take a boneless chicken breast, you know, sear them until they're cooked. If you're not sure if they're cooked and you don't want to get too cooked on the outside, once again, you do the same thing, bake and dish throw in the oven until you get an internal temperature high enough that you know it's cooked. And I'll tell you, I use time. I really use my thermometer. I know why I have a remote one is because I cook turkeys outside. But you got to use a little your gut instinct and kind of still calculate how long it should take, because I've cooked turkeys before and I didn't get the placement exactly right. If it's touching a bone, all of a sudden the stupid thing's telling me that it's done, and I know it's got a good hour left. So you really need to figure out. You can do that too. If I got a 15-pound turkey, it takes 15 minutes a pound. I don't like eating raw poultry. Okay, this is really there. So now I'm just going to turn it down so we can finish it off. Stuff here. So this is what you're going to do at the last minute. So one of my secrets is that I like to put in just about half a teaspoon, I mean literally maybe a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, depending on how much I'm making. That's a whole teaspoon because that's what I said I wanted. And to set it, you're going to put in half a stick of butter. Butter is going to be the fat that thickens this up and kind of makes it gravy. See, all of a sudden it's going to change colors and thicken. And now Marsala is really not supposed to be as thick as gravy, don't get me wrong. I think in a lot of restaurants what they do is they do put a little flour or cornstarch in, just so it's not like water on the plate, but the real Marsala is just thickened with butter. I know everything in the pan is definitely hot enough to melt the butter. Probably wasn't exactly room temperature yet. It's pretty well. You can see it's changing texture already. This is where it's a little different, with turkey. If the turkey is kind of room temperature because you're trying to get everything else together, you can put hot gravy on it and it kind of brings up the temperature. You've got the real hot mashed potatoes. With the Marsala, you really don't want to overheat it. It'll kind of make a mess out of it. So you really want to make sure that the meat is not cold. You can certainly keep this. Keep it warm on the stove to get ready to serve it. Okay, now it's completely incorporated. So we get all the chunks off the bottom of the pan. Last but not least, literally right before I'm ready to serve it. Doesn't look like enough. For that piece of meat, I think I should have. I love Marsala, and I put on my mashed potatoes too. Right before I serve it though, gone to the deli and I've gotten just a little bit of prosciutto that's as thinly sliced as you can, and then I cut it into these little teeny strips. I'm going to turn off the heat now, otherwise it's going to turn into bacon. So if you think about it, if you cook a filet mignon, what do? You put bacon around it for the fat. Well, by putting prosciutto, which is a pork product, it's going to give you that same flavor, but a whole lot better. I mean, prosciutto is like the most extravagant bacon there is. So I'm just stirring that around. Everything's nice and hot, and it's ready. Ready to serve just like this. I can smell that Dijon. I really don't want a whole lot of overpowering anything in here, and that's why I use the shallots instead of the garlic. But this is really beautiful. Looks like our beef is a few degrees away, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Pull it out when it's done. Potatoes are done and they're still hot as can be. So basically, let's take a pause. We're going to let the beef get cooked up, and I'm going to start putting this all together. Alright, my thermometer just went beep. Let's grab it out, see what it looks like. So, here we have a very merry beef tenderloin, and we're going to tent and rest this. It's going to continue cooking a little bit, but it's got a nice kind of bark to it. It's got a nice color to it. It's definitely cooked throughout. There's a little bit of juice on the bottom. It's going to continue to cook a little bit, a couple degrees when I tent it, and then we're going to move on and start getting the rest of it done. Alright, so last we need a veggie. I love this recipe for green beans, And I use frozen green beans. It's simpler, they're fresh. You know, I've got them thawed there, they're ready to go. So while I was getting everything else prepared, I cut up and sauteed 3 pieces of bacon. You can use more or less if you want. And you're just gonna cut it up, fry it till it's all crisp. And basically we're ready to go. I've got myself like half a cup of red onion I'm gonna throw in here. I want to get that last little bit. Actually, I don't. Now there's enough bacon fat in here. I'm going to make sure there is. I want to saute this for just a minute. If it wasn't, you can always dash in a little olive oil. There we go. Just need just a little bit. Okay, so now we've got the red onion just starting to get translucent and fragrance and soften up. So I have chopped up 2 cloves of garlic. Get that in there. So we're getting that pushed around. Once again, it's just another minute. Now it's really starting to smell good. This is actually a recipe from a restaurant that makes it's a Cuban restaurant. So it's got some Cuban flair to it. That's I think why I like it. It's light, even though it has bacon in it. It's pretty light. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump in. This is just a half a bag of frozen green beans. So make sure they just get tossed around, get coated. That's all you really have to do. Because frozen beans are already blanched. All frozen vegetables. You'll notice that just as they're starting to really cook through and mix in here, that they just start to change color a little bit. That's really all you want to do. We're not trying to cook them to death. I love bacon, so this is a great recipe. Bacon and garlic, come on, what else? Beautiful. Everything is well incorporated, heated through. So, I need to turn the heat down because I don't want to burn this. This is just the juice of 1 lime. That's the Cuban part of it. Once again, I just really want to give it enough time to just kind of mix everything in. The pan was hot enough, it's really not going to cool it down. And then, I've got here some fresh cilantro that I chopped up. This just gets incorporated in. Everything's already hot, so I can just turn off the heat. Mix this in. I like cilantro, I know some people don't. I guess if you really hated cilantro, you could probably leave it out, but I just think having a little bit of that flavor of cilantro in here really kind of adds to it. Alright, so essentially this is done. So, here I've already plated some of my tenderloin. I've got some mashed potatoes. This is all set to go. Just want to add some nice beautiful green beans that I just did right here. Don't be too much of a pig. And here's my Marsala that I've had sitting here, all ready to go. Just gonna roll this over the meat. It's beautiful. Really got a nice, deep, rich color. Take just a little of that sauce. Oh, I actually got a little bit of prosciutto in there. Oh darn. And my potatoes. And this is just absolutely a beautiful, really simple meal. As you saw, we put it together start to finish. I can't say enough about it. Basically, this makes a beautiful meal for a family. And you know, being the holidays, I hope you really enjoy this. And of course, you can serve this with a nice Bordeaux. You know, you've got this beautiful prime meat and the potatoes that we slayed for and the beans that took all day to cook. I just think that this is a great meal, and you know, this is how we try to start closing out 2020. So I hope everyone really enjoys it, and Merry Christmas. Cheers.